quite.
Shuck it, duck it.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Ducky.
what's going
Wednesday
on?
again.
How y'all doing today?
Man, it's Wednesday. It is
Hump day.
Lord.
Hump day?
Hump day.
Hump day, eh? Robert, he done got off camera eating all that good fried chicken or fish or whatever that was he was eating.
Yeah, now sitting back. Full now.
Yeah. So maybe like he ready to go to sleep. Look at him frozen and some more stuff. He worse than Jamal. I don't know where Jamal and Charlie at. Bernard is sick. Well, he's not sick. He's just resting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He-
You know,
His
Wolverine.
blood
We don't
pressure has
take
been
no.
going up lately. You
Who's
know,
on?
Bernard.
Hey, he's realizing everything that's going on in America and he's hating it.
Yes. Where's Jesus?
I don't know. He's probably I don't know, probably at the farm. He did a rerun today.
Oh, okay.
And he did a rerun today on his show. So I guess he'll be back in a minute. I don't know where RG keep popping in and popping out. Man,
Okay.
we
Y'all
thought
know
you
I'm out
wanted
here
to
in Pooler.
oh, you in Pooler. You in Pooler where it's cooler.
I'm
You
out
should have
here in
brought
Pooler. You know, they don't have Wi-Fi. They don't have Wi-Fi in Pooler in Fort Wentworth.
yes, no, Fort Wentworth, we got Wi-Fi. and Pula, certain parts of it, you cannot get any Wi-Fi.
Wow, that's
Right.
Certain parts of it is
Well,
dead. You just got to move to the other part
Yeah.
of the house. Yeah.
well, hopefully,
Mhm.
Joe Biden's infrastructure thing will help you guys out down there.
Honestly, Chandra, had they listened to me and Daniel Blackman years ago, we would have Wi-Fi throughout Georgia. But that's another problem for the Republicans who want to steal elections.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I don't know where Charlie Brown at, but I guess he's gonna make his grand entrance. You know, he has a rule, and his rule is, whether y'all know this or not, if you show up late, you're not supposed to say nothing. You don't supposed to have the biggest voice or anything. Now watch when he come on, he had the biggest voice. He gonna say more than anybody. If he listening, he probably gonna try to prove me wrong.
well, I think that you shouldn't even let him in. But let's go ahead. Before he comes in, go garden. Let's go ahead and get into some of these topics.
But Tiffany was saying something.
I got a feeling if you don't let Uncle Charlie in, he's gonna be in the comments the whole show.
Tiffany, you need to introduce them the Skip. Jonas, you like Skip. He need to be on Ebony Sports Reporter. That's her dad.
He cussed too much. Too much.
No. That's fine.
He'll be on there. He'll take the show.
Your dad ain't on cuss a lot.
He's worse than Uncle Charlie. He'll take over the show. It'll be all on RG.
Charlie called me earlier, but I couldn't answer.
You guys ready?
Come on, Karen.
You the host.
All right. So, first topic of the day, we're going to talk about suffering in silence, postpartum depression, and African American women. And I'm going to apologize first because I did think that that the woman that drowned her 3 children, since they weren't plastering her picture all up, all on TV, that I thought she was white. But as it has it, she was a black lady. And I thought that this was a good topic for us to talk about, because we don't talk about postpartum unless one of the rich people are having an issue,
And Sandra, what does that mean? And I'm not, what does that mean? I'm one person that has assumed, but what does that term postpartum mean?
Postpartum means after birth.
Gotcha.
And postpartum depression can occur anywhere between, it can, the onset can start while they are still pregnant up to 2 years after pregnancy, and 1 out of 8 women suffer with postpartum depression. Back in the day, they used to call it the baby blues. And I had postpartum depression with all of my children. And
wow.
And even though 1 out of 8 women suffer with postpartum depression, African American women are 3 times most likely to have bad outcomes or not be treated for their postpartum, and we need to start exploring on the whys.
Yeah.
If I want to jump in on this. I think as a community, a Black community, we don't do a good job of looking at mental health across the board. And I kid you not, I pride myself in being, and people will tell you this, oh, you got this and you're this and you're intellectual, all this stuff. Don't matter what you got going on. Mental health is real. And I'm gonna tell you what broke me down. When you have to deal with Alzheimer's and dementia and watching your parents die in front of you, that impacts. You can only imagine that a woman who may have had a miscarriage or carried in postpartum. Mental health is real. We've got to do a better job of addressing that issue in our community, because, and I kid you not, unless I went to see, I sought out therapy. I'll never forget, during COVID, I was diagnosed with depression. And that was a real thing. I mean, I never forget it. And we just don't do a good job of looking at our mental health as much as we look at our physical health. So I'm glad you brought that topic up.
Well, you can't be suffering from any depression anymore with all of us around you now.
Yeah, y'all crazy.
We drive you crazy every day. So I know it ain't no mental health problem with you, you know.
And we all,
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cuss you out.
You know, I think it's a hereditary thing, because growing up, we were always taught, well, I know I was taught, when you feel some type of way that, you know, the thoughts aren't godly, or, you know, because I grew up in the church, you pray about it, or you go to Jesus about it, and he's going to take it all away. But what we also didn't take into consideration, the fact that we pray about it and then we go and get help. See, the generation before me, they wouldn't go and get help. It wasn't taught. Therapy was never talked about. You know, anything like that. When you were going through something, or you were depressed, or you may even go as far as to commit suicide, it wasn't really looked at like, oh, well, maybe they were struggling mentally. It was just always, well, they just gave up, you know. And I think now it's being more talked about, and people aren't as ashamed to say, hey, I'm having thoughts that, you know, I shouldn't be having. I had a conversation with my 13-year-old, and I asked Jacob, I'm like, Jacob, why are you always doing this stuff at school? He was like, well, Mama, this was last year in 7th grade. He's in 8th grade now. He was like, well, Mama, I have these thoughts in my head, and I just act on the thoughts that I have. Jacob's been in therapy. I started doing therapy with Jacob when he was in elementary school because of his behavior problems. But I think that we have to really take into consideration talking to someone outside of our households and outside of our churches. Like, we need to really, really emphasize speaking to someone who's certified, who really doesn't know you, who can give you, you know, a clear observation so that you can work on these things. And I think it's been ostracized in the Black community. Like, what goes on in this house stays in this house. So a lot of things we haven't dealt with, and then we get older, and, you know, the thoughts they come back, or they're stronger than they were, that we thought we defeated these thoughts, but then they come back more and more heavily. And it does that, especially with us as women, being a mother, all of the changes that your body goes through, all of the hormones that our body goes through, not to mention whatever outside situations that we have going on with relationships, or multiple children, or the workplace, or whatever else. And that just burdensome, you know. And if you don't take care of that burdensome, by the time that baby comes, you know, that's a whole nother flood of emotions. Like, this baby is here. I don't feel connected to my baby. I don't feel like, and a lot of women look down at themselves because of that. But to your point, Sandra, as African-American people, we have to really take into consideration getting help and not being ashamed to get help.
Yep. And to your point, you know, we have to stop letting the churches and what our families have to say about us seeking help dictate our lives. Because this woman, you know, yes, she was facing eviction, and that's a stressor, you know. And if she didn't have the support of the man that had gotten her pregnant with her latest child, you know, because she had 3 children, you know, and from what I understand from reading, she had 3 fathers. One was trying to take her to court to take the oldest child. The middle child's father was not in the situation at all, and then here she had a 2.5-month-old, and she was being evicted. Well, that's enough to bring anybody into, I mean, that's stress, you know. So when you have that type of stress and no support system, you know, then it's enough to send you over the edge. And especially with your hormones, you know, dipping and things like that.
Well, yeah, you know, and the thing is that when we get to those points, we got to be able to say, I need some help. We don't never say, you know, I need help. And we have to be compassionate enough to say, you know, come over here, let me talk to you, let me help you. Because sometimes we just turn our back on people and say, you know, no,
or get it how you live.
Yeah, you know, figure it out yourself or something like that, you know. But yeah, we
I think it's like a legacy thing. I think it's just something that's been passed down from generation to generation. And Sandra, when you were talking about the mother with the 3 different fathers, well, there was a mother in Atlanta not long ago who killed all of her children. She stabbed them, and she had a husband in the home with her, nice big house. But he said that she was going through a lot. She was under a lot of pressure. So it can happen in any home. It can happen in any situation.
Yeah, and that's why one of the reasons you always hear me talk about, you know, and I've had this in our family where, you know, people turn to alcohol or drugs. And I would much rather a person have a substance abuse problem. We could deal with and fix that and not put them in jail versus a person that goes and kills people, their children, or hurt somebody else. And now we got a whole different problem. We have a criminal justice system that's so jacked up and stupid. Why in the world would you put a person in jail? Because nobody wakes up in the morning saying, oh, let me go snort a line of cocaine. It's a reason why they go do that. It's a reason why they abuse alcohol. And I'd rather us rehabilitate and fix the issue versus somebody who goes out and goes and hurt somebody. And so we got some real messed up issues out here.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like a mother wakes up in the morning, not a sane mother.
Right.
Wakes up in the morning and says, let me go and drown all 3 of my children. You know, but it's, I mean, and you know, reading up on postpartum depression, you know, it's not even, it's associated with your some socioeconomic, you know, levels, but it's also your support levels, you know. And if we're not talking about it, enough, you know, if we're only talking about it when tragic things happen, you know, then it's on us, you know, especially when it comes to the African American community. We need to start talking about it more, you know, and start stressing it more, that it's not it's not a black eye,
right?
You know, to say that, hey, I go to a therapist. I go to a therapist right now, twice a month now, but it was once a week.
Hold on, Charlie, can you hear us? Is your mic working, Charlie? Charlie.
It was on. when I first click you in.
Charlie, is your mic working?
Now y'all ain't let Charlie say a word.
Yeah, because he
He
can't.
said that he couldn't hear us.
Charlie, they just doing you. Charlie, I advocate for you. They don't advocate for you, Charlie.
He said that he couldn't hear us.
And Chandra, before you got here, Charlie, Chandra had a plan. Chandra said, "Don't let him say nothing."
No, just take him out and work with him backstage first.
Yeah, he'll get it right.
I don't know what's wrong with it.
We can hear him. He just can't hear us.
Yeah.
It's not your computer, is it?
We hear you now, Charlie. Can you hear us?
Because it was on when I first got you in it. You heard him talking.
Just mute him for a few
You
minutes.
might have to call him on the phone.
I can't hear nothing. I don't hear anything.
Turn your volume. You might have to call him.
I don't hear anything. I can't hear nothing.
Y'all get hit the thumbs up. Say
The good part is if you couldn't talk.
Or maybe put it in the put it in the chat.
All right, Chandra, what's your next topic? Next subject?
So a friend of mine, you guys may remember him. He ran for 6th district council.
I can't hear anything. What's wrong?
What's his name?
David Self.
Charlie.
David Self. He ran against.
We hear everything you're saying. You can't hear us. Go out.
He ran against who?
He ran against what was that guy's name that used to be in the 6th district? The drunk that used to be in the 6th district.
What you mean, the county or the city?
He was in the city. That was good friends with I mean, he had been there forever. He was good friends with
You talking about Tony?
Tony Thomas. Yes.
Yeah, Tony Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah, Tony's good. Yeah. Okay.
So no, he's not a good guy. But anyway,
listen. I'm running. I love everybody except for my opponent.
So anyway, David Self called me the other night because he was on what holiday just passed? Memorial Day, Labor Day. He was at St. Joseph Hospital, and he went in because he was having a real bad headache, and he had already had a stroke before.
Oh my God.
So anyway, he was at St. Joseph, and when he came in to St. Joseph, there was a black woman laying pretty much on the floor. She had already been there about 2 hours. She had allegedly. She had already been there. But what wasn't allegedly, because he watched her for the next 5 hours just throw up. Yes, just throw up on the floor and go to the bathroom. And after a while, the lead ER nurse came out, a male, white man came out, and he demanded her to sit up in her chair, and she said I can't, because she had been in there for hours.
Okay,
anyway, because she did not comply with him, he told the officers, he called officers to come and remove her. Well, to that, several people that was waiting in the waiting room, including David Self and his partner, reacted. Who has background? Who has background? So anyway, they said, so during that exchange, he told the whole, waiting room that she was faking, and he told the police to remove her, pretty much saying that he was denying her service. And to that, the police removed her from the waiting room, told her she had to leave. Well, first of all, that was a violation of her HIPAA laws, her HIPAA, because he's telling them that, oh, she's just faking. She's been here all this time and she's just faking. So then David Self, he says, well, are you going to remove me too? I've been here for over 6 hours with my headache. And he said, well, you can get out too. Remove him too. So David said, well, I will own this whole hospital, if you remove me. So after that exchange, when David was being removed by the police officer also, they realized that David knew his rights. Yeah. So they came back to get him. And like the next day, the vice president of the hospital called him, and they were trying to make it right because they knew that something bad had happened, but they never got back with that girl because she had already been ousted off the property, and I was just so taken aback from what he had told me of how many people has this man targeted, and is this the price that we're paying for having a shortage of nurses these days? I mean, is this what we're doing now?
Even if it was a shortage of nurses, this man should be fired because of how he treated these people. You can't treat people like that in that type of setting. It's unprofessional. If he did what he did, he shouldn't be at St. Joseph no more.
He should be arrested.
Exactly. Because I thought that they had a whole plaque on the wall saying that they cannot refuse health care.
Now, the woman he probably knew the woman, and the woman comes in there all the time, and that they should have said you shouldn't kick them out. If that's the problem, what they should do is send them to Georgia Regional or somewhere.
So does the hospital not have a mental ward?
Well, and let me offer this, y'all. I think a lot of times, and I'm not starting on any one side on this, we do a disservice when we don't have all the details, right? And we don't have all the details. We don't know behavior in them 5 hours. We don't know historical presence in 5 hours. I'll give you a great example. I call a hospital at least 2 times a day on issues in the house related to 2 parents. I've never had bad service, but we don't go to St. Joseph, we go to Memorial. But what I still like to say is this. Ain't nobody gonna do all that for no reason, because guess what? Their job is that on the line. If it escalates to a vice president level, anybody who's a professional understands that type of customer service is going to elevate. So I'm not saying one side is right and I'm not saying one side is wrong. What I'm saying is I too have been a victim of assumptions, and we got to be very careful of how we insert our assumptions into stuff instead of having the real detail.
I just want to say, as always, I'm a little behind, but hello, boys and ladies. It's good to see you tonight. And assumptions is really interesting, because a few minutes ago, I was coming and a person said you shouldn't let him in. That person just assumed she have no idea what's going on, what's wrong with me. I might have been going through some sort of mental depression.
Yeah.
I could have very well. Look at Stephen sometimes. No. But you was not fair to me. And I've always been fair to you. If someone overstepped their bound with you, I come to your rescue. But you know what you say to me about me? You shouldn't let him in. You don't even know the reason why I'm late. You don't care because of what you're talking about. How can you lead by example and you treat me that way? Tell me. Answer that question. Put the cup down and answer it. You trying to think about
what was Sandra?
Don't come bogarting our show.
I'm not bogarting anything. But I'm telling you facts.
You're trying to get off topic.
No, I'm not. I'm on topic.
No, you're not
on topic.
But
I am on topic.
Is that professionals are always on time.
Listen, but you don't know professionals have. I'm human. We have issues going.
But you're always
you don't know how I feel. You didn't even ask me
you're always
how I feel or anything. How you not feel good?
Okay.
Hey, and did you hear what Tiffany said about you too, Mr. Brown?
That's not true.
But
Tiffany, I'll tell you what Tiffany say. I overheard her as well. She say, if you don't let him in, there'll be comments coming in all night. I respect you, Tiffany, because what's sad when you say I come in and take over, your uncle is worse than I am. I'm not that bad. I just got back. If the conversation is interesting, I'm going to put my 2 or 3 cents in. And I want to say this. We have a problem in the Black community. We don't know how to identify with it. The relatives are telling you there's nothing wrong with you. Get yourself together. Mm-hmm. And you do have postpartum depression. I've seen a lot of people have it. It's a wonderful subject we need to discuss. But you can't just assumption, and that's what you did. You really hurt my feelings.
Can we go? I'm sorry for hurting your feelings, Charlie. But
don't do it no more.
Can you come to the subject?
I'm on the subject. You are the subject.
No, I'm not the subject.
Yes, you're talking about me.
What's going on at St. Joseph? So back to the subject is that too many times when Black people go to the emergency room, especially with sickle cell, a sickle cell crisis or something like that, they are always accused of trying to get meds or, over exaggerating. And sickle cell crises are real. It's just as real as cancer. And we are just as we should be treated with respect.
I agree 100% on
no
that.
matter what the situation is, and no matter no matter how many times a nurse has seen us in the same situation, we should be seen or treated with respect. And there should never be a time that, because David Self said that he spent 13 hours in St. Joseph's waiting room, and he still didn't get a real true diagnosis. Really.
First and foremost, and you're absolutely right. My concern at the same time, they have a lot of independent doctors, and some of the independent doctors at St. Joseph have the right sometimes to say, I don't want to see that person, and that's wrong. That's not right. And we need to sometime go in and look at the situation, and we have to know how to talk to people as well. We don't know exactly how this person was talking to them. You can get more. Just wait a minute now. I don't interrupt you. We can get more with sugar and honey than we can get with dirt. I'm saying we have a tendency to have an attitude. We come in sometime and try to bogart our way, bully our way, talk loud, and be very aggressive. And I'm not saying that's the case, but you can get a lot more being a little bit more pleasant to get some things done.
That was not how I explained it. That was not how he explained it.
I'm just saying.
He was a secondhand viewer.
No, I'm just saying I don't know what his attitude was. He's telling you his side of the story.
No, he was telling me this lady's story, and he was telling me his story. He said this lady had been throwing up for 5 hours in the emergency room. And then the lead nurse came out there and told her that she must sit up in that chair. And when she told him she could not sit up in the chair, he told the police to come and escort her out. Okay? So that was him bogarting his authority over her. Like, you're not going to tell me what you can't do, or I'm going to have you just carried out. And I'm going to deny you services. Now, what if she would have gone out and just died?
And to be honest, I don't even think hospitals are held accountable if someone, like, in that situation, I don't even think they're held accountable if someone dies once you release them. But I do have a family member who worked in the ER as security. And here in Athens, so Piedmont would be the hospital that most people go to because it's like a county hospital. And she said that every night they would have like erratic patients. Some patients would come in at the same time every night with the same issues. And she's had to like forcibly like remove them, like put her hands on them and remove them from the hospital. Not because they can't be treated, but because there's nothing for them to be treated for. And there is a loophole for that. I feel like there should be a private sector within the hospital where if you, and I know they have the mental health wards, but I mean, sort of kind of like an urgent care, I guess, for the mentally ill.
Yeah.
Through episodes.
It's you know what, Bemura Medical, to my knowledge, used to have a place called Clark. I don't know if it's still called that or not. But what they used to do is when a patient come in acting sporadic, they send them over to that particular unit, which they had doctors, nurses over in that particular unit. I don't know exactly what's going on right now, but it is a need for it. And it's a need for us to identify with it and try to encourage our loved ones or people we know that they might need to go get some help. And it's not a stigma of being shamed. And it's a great topic, and we need to share it with our viewing audience. And like I always say, I believe in share, call your friends, let them know we talking about a topic that happened to a lot of women and men, but a lot of women have kids and they do not handle it well. And it just don't go away a lot of times, and it can be very dangerous. Again, I think it's a great subject. I compliment some of the subject that we come up with. The viewing audience can send us in questions. We can't address it tonight, but on a future show, we will address it because we sit in these chairs for them. We want them to hear and get information because people fail for two reasons in life, and community fail. Lack of information,
that's
right,
and
lack of knowledge. And we will give you that. And I just want to share this. It's a great topic. Any question, please shoot them in. We'll see what we can do. Sonia, you seem to know a little bit about it. You can probably answer it a lot better than us. I'm not efficient, or Tiffany can.
And also to Sandra's point, a lot of people don't really think that Black people be in pain the way that we say we are.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, Black people are just supposed to be strong, which we are strong. We are resilient people.
Oh God!
When I'm hurting, and I'm not hurting because I want your opioids or your narcotics. I'm hurting, and I'm at the hospital because I need help. Now, that's a conversation that needs to be had as well. Because if you ask me what's my pain threshold level, and I tell you between a 1 and a 10, it's a 9. Treat me as such.
Right.
Exactly.
Don't say, it's only hurting in a certain spot, so it shouldn't be at a 9. How you gonna tell me?
Exactly. And that is the reason why we are dying at a rate higher than most Caucasians, because our healthcare is not taken seriously.
No.
By the time they figure out that we have a certain disease, it's at the last stage because they didn't listen to us.
Right.
When we were describing what we were feeling. And this kind of segues us into what the B stage of this question was, is isn't it time for us as Americans to unblock the felony block with it being so much of a shortage? We have a shortage of healthcare workers. We have a shortage of teachers. We have a shortage of bus drivers. We have a shortage of so many things that we could fill them with people that do have felonies, and I believe that we're blocking, we're putting up barriers for felons based on the fact that it has been an economic blocker for them.
That will help. I think that will help. Close a little bit, but the biggest problem is we're not preparing them in school. Woodsville, Tonkin are trying to do just that in Savannah, is to get a lot of young people involved in medical, and they can go right into that field. We're not educating them and putting them in that position. We're not even showing them how to do a budget. I think the school needs to step up and do more, because these are the same individuals who will run the country one day, who will be the medical professionals. And we need people ready to go into that field. I hear you, and I'm gonna have to agree with you, depending on the degree of felony or whatever you may have done. Maybe let them enter the arena. That will help. But our problem is we got to sort of grow them. We got to put them in school, start in the grade school, go to junior high, and you have a whole classes of medical people going into the medical field who understand it, who want to be in it. That's my opinion. That's part of a cue for what's going on. It'll help, not now, but for the future. Yeah.
What about you, Julius?
I think that'll be the go.
No, I was wondering.
I'll tell you a story. Just a little short and sweet story. You were saying something interesting. It's a short and sweet story. Julius, you shouldn't really act that way. You do what you want to do down on that paper.
Tiffany once said that if Charlie is late, he should say less. You didn't hear that?
No, that come out of your mouth. I'm not gonna say too much, okay? I was just gonna say, Sonia said something interesting, and I went with a friend over to Hilton Head to look at a sofa, a sofa bed. And you know, things can be very heavy. The white gentleman I went with, and the white gentleman he was maybe going to buy it from, he saw me and he said one thing: that boy can pick that up by himself and put it in the truck. Now, how can I pick that sofa up when you got 4 men couldn't get it up? But like you were saying, they look at us and they think we're strong and we never get hurt and we don't have pain, that we're not real. I just thought that was funny. He thought I could pick up that sofa by myself and put it in the truck.
How long ago that was?
Oh, that was a few years back.
My problem is he called you boy.
Well, that's okay. Boys a figure of speech for us.
Did he pat you on top of the head too?
No.
Now, I like that part.
I wouldn't have accepted it.
I like, he more or less say, hey.
No. I wouldn't have accepted it. But go ahead, Julius, because I'll start cussing on this one. But go ahead.
Lord, we don't need you cussing.
You know,
it don't bother me.
We have a whole problem everywhere across this country, especially when it comes to us being disaffected in every area there is. I don't care if it's in the banks. I don't care if it's by the police. I don't care if it's in a restaurant. I don't care where it's at. We are treated as third-class citizens in this country. And until we start demanding that we be treated better, they're going to continue to do what they do because they know that we're not going to really follow through with the protests, with the boycott. The thing is, we go to these people's establishments to give them our money. And we want to give them our money instead of going someplace that you could get the same food. Might not be the same atmosphere, but the same or better food, better tasting that we know. And you bypass that restaurant and go all the way out and give somebody your money who don't appreciate you. And it's just part of our problem. We are we've been brainwashed to think that way. It took a while. It's 50 years of conditioning. It's 50 years to believe that we should be divided. It's 50 years of knowing that that you should criticize that person that's clamming instead of congratulating them. It's 50 years of that. And so like I say all the time, perception unchallenged becomes reality. And if we don't challenge the things that people think about you, then you can challenge it 2 ways: by standing up or by doing better. There ain't but those 2 ways you can do it, but you can challenge. And we our doing better is being more united and coming together to get things done. We don't do that in our race. We don't do that. We're all separate, and I talked about it on the show the other week. You can have the Indians that come over here and there'll be 20 of them in the house living until they build their stoves and build everything. Now you see 10 years later, they all driving around in Porsches and living on the island. The Mexicans, they can come here. Hispanics, they can come here and they live 16, 20 to a house. We don't want that kind of comfort. Y'all can't come stay with me. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
While we all save our money, while we pool our money so we can do better. It's just in our heads. We've been conditioned to think like that. But y'all can't come stay with me. But you're going to pay some rent.
That's pretty interesting.
But
that is real interesting.
You're correct. Go ahead, Charlie.
No, that's pretty interesting because we must, because when we own our own hospital, our own bank, and it's a different if we own that, which we don't own it. but at the same time, you don't have to treat us that way. We demand certain respect. And like Julius say, if we can go and patronize or go do business in your own community, it'll be best because your dollars speak volume. And I noticed this too, Julius. I think the Indians are now getting out of the gas business because the electric cars are coming. If you notice, a lot of the stoves now, Indians don't want them. They are getting out of. They transition into to something else. Yeah, I just want y'all to be aware of that.
Well, they're trying to find their niche, and they will before we do, But my thing is that we need to pressure Congress and these other, our local government to ban the felony box. That should not even be a question on an application anymore unless it's some.
Well, she froze up. Let's see if she'll pop back in.
Right, you notice she got her mouth open, whatever, it's still open, wide open.
So she's still talking. And to piggyback on what she's saying though, with that box on the application, it should say certain things. If it's a bank, have you ever been convicted of robbery? If it's law enforcement or something, have you ever been convicted of murder? Excuse me. Certain places, the application should be specific to that particular business for that particular crime that a person.
Oh, I see what you're saying, right? Yeah, application should meet the criteria for that particular business.
Right. You don't want a child predator working at a daycare.
Right. No.
So that's part of what it is. But Sandra, you're right. They should have those boxes where it's specific to the job. To the job. Why you asking me? I'm coming to drive a forklift. You asking me about a felony for what? Running somebody over with a forklift? Put that one on there. No, I have not.
Right.
Other than that, I'm just coming to drive a forklift. If it's a bank, you can ask me whether I could, ever robbed a bank.
Hell, and we just had somebody over here at our ports to kill a woman on the crane. He killed somebody. And he went to work the next day.
How did he do that?
He ran her over.
Oh.
And he
made about that. What port? In Houston?
Yes. And we suspect that he actually killed her on purpose. But they let him come back to work the next day. They didn't discipline him. They didn't, they didn't have him off on, suspicion or, with pay on anything. He came back to work the next day.
Well, that's hard to believe because he should have been going through something.
Exactly.
But
I'm telling you, he was back to work the next day. The next day.
Wow.
He must have had a bill due or something.
Well,
they normally go through an investigation, I thought.
That's what I'm saying. They didn't even put him on investigation with pay, nothing. So that's why I'm feeling like, oh, okay, well, he must have known somebody. And even upper people in the ports felt like, well, obviously he knows somebody, and I know somebody that is over the crane department for Houston and Miami. And he was just like, I can't believe that this N-word is back to work the next day after he killed this girl.
Well, I mean, what he ran over with? He couldn't have ran over
with
the crane. The crane don't move. The crane don't move. What he did?
The crane does move. Here,
I mean, the forklift.
No, cranes do move.
They don't have no moving cranes on the dock.
You do have moving cranes on the dock.
What he did? He must have ran over with something on the arm.
Yes. So they were telling him to watch out.
The mobile crane. The mobile.
Yes.
Well, those are big forklifts. Well, they call them cranes, I guess.
Yeah.
They picked up the big box cars.
Yes.
Okay, he probably didn't see it.
They kept telling him to watch out. And he hit that woman. But the strange thing was he was hitting on her, in months past, and she rejected his advances.
Huh?
Yes.
Man.
So y'all can figure that out.
I think we need a show. I think we need an investigation show.
Yeah.
I will find out and get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. But
that is crazy.
But stuff like this happens, but we can't, we can't have people suffering the rest of their life for a felony that they committed 20, 30 years ago, which could have been a fluke.
I think if you did the time and did what you need to do, I think they should let it go.
Yeah. But this segues us into our third subject, which is the catch and release program that we have for violent criminals in big cities. We're having. Do you guys know that there are murderers out on $35,000 to $75,000 bonds, committing other murders?
Other murders,
Other murders.
I've seen that.
Somebody explain.
Go ahead, Charlie.
Somebody explain catch and release to me how it works. I don't know how it works.
So
I think you're just arrested and they let you out on bond until you go to court.
It's a low bond. It's the low bonds that's mattering, So here it is. You have these guys. I'm just going to bring up Houston because we have a lot of low bonds for murderers here. Like this person, Ashim and Jalen, they were arrested for murders, 2 separate murders in Houston, like last year. One was given a $35,000 bond, and one was given a $75,000 bond for murder. Okay. Well, about 2.5 weeks ago, they both murdered a constable that was just going out to go and get food for his family. And his name was Omar Erston. So while they were out on bond, $35,000 and $75,000. So a $35,000 bond, it is 10%. So that's $3,500, $7,500. And some of them with the bond companies up here, they don't even pay 10%.
I don't quite understand What you think it should be? And because they shouldn't be able to get out.
I do not feel like if you've been if murder is your charge, I do believe that it should be way higher than $35,000. I mean, way higher than that. And especially like we even have this boy, he shot his girlfriend 20 times in the park. And they know this. And he only got $100,000 bond. And
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Tiff.
I think politicians don't want to be looked at so harsh with election coming up. And so they take a stance. And I guess that's their stance. We're not hard on criminals, not that hard on criminals. But then people get lost in the loopholes. Like you get people that's out on murder bonds and then they go and commit more murders and then live streaming on Facebook. So I think I don't want to call it a catch-22, but it's just like, dang. Damn if you do, damn if you don't, I guess.
But and then you got people that's in jail sitting for child support. What the hell?
Yeah, it's crazy. You're absolutely correct. It's ass backwards. What they need to do, if the evidence, the judge should be weighing the evidence before he lets another known criminal. Some people, I did 21 years. I saw people that shouldn't have never, ever hit the street again.
Really?
Serious. I don't give a damn what it was. They shouldn't have never been released.
Wow.
Ever. Because I knew what they were going back out to do. And sure enough, they end up back. You'll hear 6 months later, they're in the pen now. They done killed somebody or they done did the same thing over again. Some people, especially when you talk about on the streets and this murder, if they got enough to charge you with the murder, you should be held and you shouldn't be right back out on no bond like that, because the first thing you're going to do is kill the witnesses.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
So you should not be out. See that, but in places like Atlanta, Chicago, and places like that where it's a high density of African Americans, they let you back out so they can. It's a way of wiping us out.
So you can help get rid of some of the population.
Yeah. What say you, Dr. Jamal?
I'm just here listening. You had ignored what I sent. I made a comment, but you ignored that.
Well, we had done left that subject, so I didn't see it until after
I have. Again, what we all say, it is tied to system, and that's why, again, it's tied to Caucasians controlling the system. They're always going to protect themselves, and then they're going to cause you all to cause harm to yourself because it helps the effort with regards to what it's all about. That again, we have to understand it's about us always being buffers to our own oppression. That's what Caucasians have done that always. That they use surrogates to go ahead and basically do their bidding. But I'm saying, I'm not telling. Some of y'all might get sensitive that your Caucasian friend or relative. I ain't telling your Caucasian friend or relative who's doing the right thing. I'm saying that Caucasians who control the system to manipulate from economically to politically to educationally to spiritually to socially, that we're going to see, again, all the stuff that they do. And with regard to medical also. And so that's what it's about. So again, because they don't care about you. But see, sometimes those people are not coming back to their neighborhoods and their community. Sometimes those folks are gone. But also, and some of y'all talked about earlier about the catch-22 situation, what Tiffany said, catch-22, because also y'all know what is going on now. Bail reform. And again, bail reform is a major effort and movement with regards to the criminal justice system. So sometimes you got to try to find that balance with regards to that. Sometimes we don't find the balance because some of the people who are subjected to bail bails that they couldn't get out were poor people, in particular African Americans, who then wind up pleading to charges that they should not have pled to charges. So we got this entire dynamics. And so you got to have, and I'm going to throw it back out there again, that's why it becomes so important to vote for people who are responsible people, so that way you have sensible leadership. Other people, they do it based on the fact of getting the mother's milk of politics, which is money. So they get money and they get this other stuff right there. So, and yeah, so it is absolutely that it always, we try to make it seem like it's like one little issue. No, it's not. It's a myriad of issues, and that we got all those issues.
Well, I for one, you know, I don't feel like nonviolent criminals, you know, these people that's being charged with drug charges or you know, just child support and stuff like that, should be having bonds. You know,
how would you handle the child support situation? I'm just curious. I mean, how would you handle it?
Go ahead and suspend their license or do whatever you have to do with them, but they should not be. How can they actually pay their child support if they're sitting in jail?
Yeah,
that's stupid.
And then you shouldn't suspend their license either, because how are you going to drive to work?
Yeah, that's just stupid. Let them work it out.
It has to be something else that has that can come up. We have to find another way to do these.
They need to have another way, but they don't need to be criminalizing everything.
And I'll be perfectly honest with you. And the reason I'm sort of quiet on the subject, I don't really know enough. I hadn't really looked at it too hard and studied it, but it is a problem and it needs to be addressed. And some of the addresses, one of the things, like I said, we own our own hospital, and we own certain things. We'll have a different attitude, which we don't own a hospital. We don't own basically major banks around the country. We don't own any of that. So that sort of dictate, we sort of wait to be, to get a handout, I assume. I don't know exactly enough about the catch and release information. That's why I'm not saying anything about it too much. I think the bond should be more. I just don't know. But most of it would affect black men.
Hey, you got Pookie over here. Pookie done killed 6 people, and then you got 30 people over there with signs in front of jail talking about free poop.
Exactly. No, Pookie does not need to be released.
Yeah, he's a predator. He's a predator, and they release these predators to take care of other people on the street. You know, they know that they want them to kill each other, so the police won't have to deal with them. That's the thinking now.
But we need to make note that, you know, I've looked all through the research, and it is shown that black people are killing black people, but not at the rate that white people are killing white people. You know, so let us bring that to a common knowledge, you know, because white people are putting a spin on this black on black crime while hiding their white on white crime, you know, and it is a proven fact that whatever race you are, that's where the crime is going on, you know. So if you are white and white is still the majority, even though the nation is browning, you know, white people are still killing each other, you know. So black people are not going into, you know, I saw this ad where Republicans were trying to put this big old spin on black crime, you know, just to try to, it was the scare factor. But white people need to understand that you guys are killing yourselves. Black people, we're killing black on black crime, and it's Chinese on Chinese crime, and it's Hispanic on Hispanic crime, because we're living in the neighborhoods, So let's just keep it, come on, people. Let's just be smart. That part.
What you think some of the plan of action should be? Anyone can share that to give an insight on what some of the things we could do to start turning things around. I know we can plead on, black crime on black crime, what we haven't. Does anyone know a cure for it, or what we can start doing to get it out there, the water the crops, to irrigate it and see if we can get a change? I understand they are promulgating it, but at the same time, it is happening. What can we do to stop it a little bit?
And it's not one solution. That's why I love to try to tell folks, we tend to think about that it's like one solution. It's not one solution. The system, it is a systematic issue, and you got to address it. You have to address it all. And I tell people, whatever area that you have an interest in, go into that area and address that and deal with that area right there. Deal with that particular realm. And if you do that right there and you stand up, especially African Americans, if you stand up in that realm, you can have an impact on it. So if it's economics, if it's political,
but that's a start, see?
Right, I'm just saying, so that whatever, and see, but we often, sometimes we're looking for one person to do it all. One person can't do it all.
No.
I have to say that, when I was in Myers Middle School, that one of the things that we realized as a collective of brothers in the school, that one of us was good at history, one was good at English, one was good at math. Then we relied on you to be the one that helped the rest of us with regards to this right here. So, and that same tactic is used by other people, and that's what we need to be doing more about that, as opposed to our egos. Because Julius is good at what he does, I get mad with Julius or get jealous of Julius, and then I want to do what Julius is doing, but I'm not as good as Julius, and I do what I can to make sure that Julius ain't getting the business that he need to get. And so Sean is good at what she does, and so I get mad and get jealous because I want to be the one getting the recognition. Tiffany good at what she does, and so then I go on Baxter Street and I raise hell on Baxter Street to distract people. Or I go down on Oglethorpe Avenue and then I want to sell the fried chicken, but my fried chicken tastes like wood when it's Charlie Brown.
What fried chicken tastes like wood?
I'm saying my fried chicken tastes like wood. I'm saying that your fried chicken tastes good.
I got you.
Right, because I'm mad because, I got this jealousy in me because I'm like, looking, why they get all the attention? And so, but I'm like saying, no, if you good at this right here, Jamal, if you good at hopscotch, then you do hopscotch with your kids. You do hopscotch in the community. And you be the hopscotch expert. And you are trying to go do something else. But that's how some of us, and what happened, and so when I now got to get a lesson on how to do some chicken, as opposed to me trying to do something, I did ask Charlie, can you do right here? Tiffany, can you get some young men to do such and such and so on? So can we go and get you to analyze this right here? Julius, can you go and do this right here? So that's when we become stronger.
You work who do what best. I was under the impression that you were saying my chicken tastes like wood. I'm going to say black crime was going to be on black crime and I catch you in the street the next time.
No, not on the Rabble.
My chicken didn't taste like wood. Boy, but I got you. That's what you call miscommunication. I didn't hear it right. I'm sorry. Assumption again. A certain person assumed tonight I was late, and assumption didn't know what was wrong. Okay, that's good stuff, people.
Well, you was asking about something that we can do to stop it, to put a stop to this, and we just got to come into groups and have think tanks that one thing we do, we meet and then we don't meet anymore. We meet and then we don't get anything done. We have great ideas and then nobody else calls the meeting again. So what we have to do is stay focused and stay active and stay engaged. We don't do that. Just like when they came up with the crack laws because crack was killing our neighborhoods and they petitioned to these people to do it. Okay, you got people that were caught up in the crack laws that were that shouldn't have been caught up in them. They started putting everybody in jail for nothing. They could do the same thing with the murder laws and the violent crime laws. They can pass bills to say, okay, well, hell, I know you did this. I know you created, you did this to that person. So it can be some things done according to changing the laws. We're changing the laws.
So Julius, we have to put in the right list. We got to put in the right individual to go and represent us and have a voice, and that's part of it.
Right.
That's clearly part of it.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's a start, but you have to start somewhere. And like Jamal was saying, it's a start. I mean, we can talk about it all day, but we need to plant a seed somewhere and then go from that and start irrigating it, and then it will grow crops and we grow others. That's my opinion. We can sit and talk about it because it is happening. If it's in a large percentage or small, we need to find out what we can do to out it somehow because it's affecting us. I'm not worrying about what the whites are doing. I need to worry about what's going on in our backyard.
We know that they're not doing any catch and release here because they got guys sitting in jail for 2 or 3 years under the last administration. There ain't been no catch and release being done in this county. So just to make sure everybody gets this straight, we're not talking about Savannah. We're talking about across the nation and other large cities.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys don't feel like this is going to hurt the Democrats in your area, the way that abortion bill, that what's that guy in South Carolina just proposed?
Lindsey Graham.
Is he not a nut? Yeah, I mean, with all the Republicans ducking the abortion bill, I mean, I thought that he was insane to bring it up. But hey,
South Carolina, Sandra, South Carolina.
Yeah, they are people that have sex with their own cousins. So
yeah,
that's Taggart Ridge. Taggart Ridge, right up in Effingham, close to Jewish. That's Effingham County, Taggart Ridge.
Yeah, they're right down the street.
That's right. That's right. That's Effingham.
I'm like, what is his motive behind that?
My honest opinion, it's probably a distraction from Donald Trump because they're trying to get it away from him as quick as possible. And that's what Lindsey Graham is probably trying to do.
You know what?
It's a distraction, Sandra. They put it out there.
But think about it. Think about it, Sandra. It's 15, what he said, 15 what? 15 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that what he said?
15
he
weeks.
proposed 15 weeks
15
is what?
weeks. No, 15
almost 4
weeks.
months. So if you know that you got a pregnancy in 4 months, what he's trying to do is real genius on his part because it's political. What he's saying is he's coming up with an answer for it so the Republicans can't look bad. Okay, we're not going to do this here. This is what we're going to do. We're going to go to a nationwide ban at 15 weeks.
Well, I would be for that.
15 weeks is almost actually 4 months.
4 months.
Yeah, I would be for that, as a matter of fact. Because if it's taking you longer than that to think about it, you don't really want.
That's right.
You know, I mean,
you
because
the baby if it takes you that long.
It as soon as I find out, I'm out.
You don't think Lindsay is using that as a distraction for Donald Trump? Come on,
yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah,
if you look at it.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
And I'll be honest with you, I can see he just got elected for 6 years, so he can talk crazy because he ain't got no competition for the next 5 years. I think they need to cut it back to 4 years and take away that 6 years for senators, in my opinion.
You know what? That segues us right into our next topic. Is it time for the U.S. Constitution, which would set limits on the amount of time that people can be in Congress and things like that, to be rewritten? You know, how would it look? Can it happen? What would it take?
The policymakers who's sitting in the catbird seat is not going to do that. And if that's what you're waiting on, the one who got the goal will make the rule. And that's what's going to continue to happen. We can have wishful thinking all we want, but if you're sitting in that power position, you think you're going to vote yourself out of office? Or you think you're Supreme Court for life, that you're going to change the law and say, oh, we're only going to be here 15 years. You're going to be there till you die and you'll be happy. And I like to say, hello, boys, to Bernard Brown. I hope you hurry and come back because you're a hello boy as well. But you understand where I'm coming from, Sonia?
I understand where you're coming from, but
I mean, why would you vote yourself out of office?
Yeah, but that's an article. Article 5 within the Constitution gives us a right to have a state, delegation, as a matter of fact, to change or rewrite the Constitution. And back in 2016, the Tea Party wanted to do just that, So, I don't know what happened in that, but that's what they were doing. It was like 16 states that had already voted to do it.
Well, they seem to think that the U.S. Constitution is a perfect piece of paper. They've taken out where whites couldn't marry blacks or blacks couldn't marry whites. They've taken out slavery. They've taken out hanging. There's a lot of stuff. They've taken out the 3/5 of a man for a black person. So I guess they made all these amendments so they feel like this is a perfect piece of paper. But I do agree with you that it could be rewritten. Why not start new now? Let's keep the old Constitution and make it part of history, and then bring up a new Constitution giving everybody these rights. I think it would be a whole lot better. But it takes bold people to make that type of move. It'll take some bold people with some big kahunas to say that they want to change and rewrite the Constitution, make it a current piece of work. It's not current right now.
I can respect you and her. That is outstanding, but that is wishful thinking. It ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen in your lifetime nor my lifetime. I'm saying I want him to try to say you can entertain it, but I'm going to try one more time. The one who got the goal make the rules. And it's not going to happen. You'll see Democrats jump ship. A lot of other people will jump ship because they want to keep power. Once you got power, you want to maintain it. Only way you take power, only way you get power, son, you have to figure out how to take it, really take it. You ain't going to do it through legislation because they ain't going to vote that way for it to change.
Yeah, but I do believe that it needs to be time limits on senators and and people sitting in the House, definitely. And it definitely needs to be time limits sitting, for people
I agree.
In the Supreme Court, because it's less likelihood of corruption. And that's what we're dealing with right now.
I think they need to make two big major changes real quick with the House of Representatives. It should not just be every 2 years, it should move to 4. And the Senate should move to 4 also instead of 6. The Senate serves for 6 years, it should be 4. The House serves for 2 years, it should be 4 also.
Right, because in most cases, what happened, they legislate 1 year, then the next year they got to raise money to try to stay in office.
Right.
They legislate 1 year, then they got to raise money. It's not enough time. Juries, I'll agree with you. If that's possible, 4 years for the state Congress, and 4 years for the senator. That's why Lindsey Graham is out of control, because he just got elected and he got 5 more years, and he know that.
Yeah.
Tiffany, are you with the show? Are you doing something else? If not, I'm gonna ask Julius not to renew your contract. Now I need your input. People are putting their 2 and 3 cents in. You put, guess how many cents in? 0.
I've been slacking, Uncle Charlie. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. That is my bad.
I like the way you talk. Hip, Uncle Charlie, my bad.
Yeah, that's my bad.
Right on, sister. Yeah, go ahead and give my input, Tiffany. We're waiting on you.
What topic I'm so sorry.
Don't even worry about it, Tiffany. Don't even worry about it, Tiffany. Because I'm gonna get you off the hook.
Hey, Tiffany.
We was talking about Bernard. The doctor say he run his mouth too much, and he said he delegate all his time to me, and I could just talk all I want.
Yeah,
when he's coming back, it's not quick enough for me, cause I can talk all I want.
You killed your doctor, so he ain't gonna tell you that. Tiffany, the subject was, do you think the U.S. Constitution needs to be changed?
I think that it does. At this point, we've seen the treatment. It doesn't matter what's in the Constitution, because even if it was rewritten, that will still not change people from treating us the way that they treat us as African American and as women. So whether it's rewritten, thrown out, it's still not.
But I think that if we're sitting at the table, if we have a seat at the table in the new writing of the Constitution, then we have more of a voice. Because at the old Constitution, there was a bunch of races, slave owning, people from Britain writing it.
Okay, well, Sandra.
And that's the foundation right there. That's the foundation.
Why don't they do this then? Because they pay for a study for this. They pay for a study for that. They pay for people to do audits. Why don't they do this? Say, okay, well, pay this institution $20 million to write the Constitution over and bring it to Congress for Congress to ratify. I mean, to put a new Constitution before the people.
And then we'll still see how racist the United States still is.
Exactly. Because, we wouldn't be able to agree on who was going to write it, for one thing. And they'd probably get somebody, Stanford or,
You think you can help us out in that department? You think you can come up with a program and a plan?
It would have to be a unanimous board, coming from all walks of life.
Right.
And that would have to be socioeconomics, racial makeup, everything, in order for it to be fair.
It's not wrong with us thinking like that.
not just the old status quo, and that's what we've been having. And that's the reason why things don't ever look fair and balanced,
Well, the law professor right there, Dr. Torre, what's your thoughts?
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I was going to share, just paraphrase Frederick Douglass. Power does not concede without a demand. It never has, never will. And so for something like that to occur, that is going to have to be about power, basically now being said by the people what the people want to see. And Charlie alluded to it, that power is not going to give it up. Now we have to be more powerful as the citizens to make something like that happen. Because, and I shared before that we like the Equal Rights Amendment. Don't you think the majority of the people, let's just say the majority of the gender in the United States are women? And do you not think that you should probably have easily been able to get an Equal Rights Amendment? But it hasn't occurred. Even you have some states that will, hey, we were going to ratify, but you have other states that would not. And that could not even get into Congress to even have an Equal Rights Amendment, because again, what that's about is about power. Power is not going to concede without a demand. And so what they got to do, they got to always make sure they're distracting the people so the people don't understand, and that people go along with the issues. They identify with the people who got the power right now and not in their best interest. And
so in other words, you're saying burn it down.
Burn it down. So it can be, again, like I said, burn it down so it can be born anew, be created anew. That's what happened. That's what happened in the savannah in Africa. It burns down regularly, and then, but guess what? New growth comes about. So that's why we gotta have new growth.
And that's what they tried to do on January the 6th.
Oh no,
exactly to a degree.
No, they ain't like us. See, I'm just saying, I'll burn it down. Our natural, and it's about new growth that's better for everyone. That people are able to live. Entities are able to live. They're able to sustain. They're able to have life. With them, but they do it. It's about maintaining the system of oppression.
Yeah. That's what that whole plan was.
Yep. And I didn't know you were going to be on, Jesus, but we were supposed to talk about the Queen, and if we're being honest, have you guys been watching all of this hoopla? And do you guys see where we get a lot of our songs from? Have you guys been really watching? And listening to a lot of their anthems and stuff like that. They brought all of the anthems from Britain right over here, put a little bit of different words to it, and that's where we got it from. The oppressive Britain.
Okay, and Sandra, you're absolutely right, but you have to realize Georgia's named after King George. I'm saying that's who settled America with basically Great Britain or whatever you call them over there, and that's why they use a lot of England. Our government is sort of made up similar to their government.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. And this lady, whether you love her or not, because, I didn't keep up with her like that, but the news says she have meet and greet 13 presidents. And just think that's a lot of presidents, because some of them was 2-term, like President Obama, Bush. These people were 2-term president. Imagine if there was 1-term, how many presidents she would have meeting? 13 is a lot.
Yep.
It is.
So she's 96 years old. People gotta die sometime. What you say, Tiffany?
I just like the way Eyes of Jesus lit up when we said something about the Queen. Give it to us. Give
it to us, Jesus.
Life.
I've been waiting on this.
I'm waiting on your face lit up. Give it to us.
Tell us about them colonizers. Tell us about them colonizers.
Tell us.
Because I did the video. I ain't posted the video because I got to edit it. People around here, black folks in particular, we talking to black folks right now. We talking to black folks right now. Some of y'all crying about the Queen. Y'all want to talk about Meghan and all other stuff like that. And Bernard Brown, she's your sister too. I don't know why she's your sister too. And so what the deal is, and they talk about Britain. So people got surprised when they found out that there were concentration camps in Kenya, that Africans were put in concentration camps by the British. Stunned by that. And people thinking like, you're going to talk about the Jewish Holocaust, and the Holocaust tied to the Gypsies and to some of the Jehovah's Witnesses in Germany. You talk about that, but I tell folks, guess what? You got Kenyans who were in concentration camps, but guess what? The British also had, and I'm going to show you again, when you talk about these racial dimensions, this stuff is real. That I tell folks, we don't make no excuse about this stuff for them. So in South Africa, they had concentration camps for the Dutch Boers, which are the Caucasians, the ones who was even more oppressive than the British in South Africa. They had concentration camps for them, but when the media found out about the concentration camps that were in South Africa that the British had, they were appalled. They were like, how can Europeans do that to other Europeans? Now we're talking about this in South Africa. So guess what? They had concentration camps for Africans in South Africa, and their conditions were worse. But the media said nothing about it. Ain't say nothing about it. So here you go. It shows you that this had always been. That's why I tell people, this ain't nothing brand new. So they're going to discuss. They are upset that Europeans had other Europeans in concentration camps in Africa. And so that way they had to do something about it. But the black folks in South Africa who were in concentration camps, they ain't say nothing. Then 1904 to 1908, guess what? The Germans, what you see what happened in 1945 or in the 1940s tied to World War II, the Germans had already perfected how to do concentration camps on a group of Africans there in Southwest Africa, Namibia. They did it to two groups of black folks there, had concentration camps, all because the people wanted to defend their land and defend their women. They were raping African women, so they defended African women and also with their land. So the Germans perfected putting people in the desert in concentration camps. Nobody sang a song for them, but then, okay, let's go on to Italy. Italy also had some black people, folks like talk about how the Italians are just like that. They're not Caucasian. Italians are Caucasians. They are Europeans. They are Caucasian. Ain't no blackness about that, but I'm going back to again.
Other than Hannibal came across the Elbe.
Italy, what happened, they had concentration camps in Eritrea and in Somalia and even in Libya. But here it is, black folks, and then they also dropped mustard gas bombs on civilians in Ethiopia. And Haile Selassie, Emperor Haile Selassie, he goes and addresses to the UN saying like, why y'all not saying anything about this right here? This is a violation. I mean, it was the League of Nations. So again, Italy, the Portuguese, any black folks that rose up against them, they put them in concentration camps. Then the French, let's take the policy of the French. The French had a policy there in their colonies in Africa that they could rape Caucasian Frenchmen can rape black girls. And some of them are 14 years old. And then guess what? Nothing can be done to them. They said they had the privilege to rape black women. They had a privilege at that. Guess what they did? When some of those girls got pregnant, they were not going to have the children taken away from those girls and now put in nunneries, put in convents that the children were raised at. And then the convents were no help for them also. The Spanish do the same thing. So guess what? And the Portuguese doing it. So everybody in Britain is right there in the mix doing all of it. And then y'all, I tell people, y'all around here crying about Elizabeth. Get the hell out my face with that, black people. You shouldn't be crying for nobody but your own people and looking up for them. And so you don't talk about that at all. It's about that concentration camp. So you surprised about what they did in Kenya? Guess what? All of them did it too. Oh, the last one I forgot to throw out to you, Leopold, the king of Belgium. He has the entire Congo. The Congo is like 10 times the size of Belgium. But he has it as his personal playground. And he had what he had was called a hand and foot policy. So each one of you had a responsibility to get the rubber from the trees and the minerals. If you fail to get it, we're going to cut off Sandra's left hand. We're going to cut off Tiffany's foot. We're going to cut off Julia's nose. We're going to cut off Charlie's ears. Hand and foot policy of Belgium King Leopold. Somebody, what he did, again, show you about black folks, and what he was told when they're not divide up Africa, he goes before Congress and tell Congress, I think it'll be a good thing for Leopold to not have the Congo Free State, as they call it, because he's going to bring Christianity there to the Congo. This black man name is George Washington Williams. He says to the Congress, but what he does with Leopold, he said to Leopold, let me come over there and see what you're doing in the college. Leopold told him that, nah, you ain't got to come. You know, I'm glad for your support, but you ain't got to come. But I said, William Washington being a black man as he is, he said, I'm still going over there. He gets over there, he sees black folks who look just like them with no ears. He see them with noses cut off. He see children with no hands, see people with no foot. And he's like, what is this going on? And they not tell him what the deal is. The king of the king of Belgium has put this policy in place. And then guess what happened? George Washington Williams come up with a phrase, crime against humanity. The first time that's ever stated is done by a black man from the United States addressing what happened in the Congo in Africa. But guess what? When they talk about crimes against humanity, legally, when they talk about it, guess what they discuss it at? In the Nazi war crimes regarding the Holocaust of Europeans. And they try to talk about some Armenians, but I'm like saying the first time they ever talk about the crime against humanity is regarding African people. And even somebody wrote about it. His name is Mark Twain. The book that's written by Mark Twain called King Cole's Soliloquy, most people don't even know about it. You know about his fiction stuff, but he not talks about it. And the first human rights movement of all time, of the modern era, was again what happened in the Belgian Congo. And guess what? And we don't even talk about that. And I tell black folks, you're going to cry about some goddamn Elizabeth? You better get out my face with that. And Me Too movements and all other stuff like that, feminists and all that, get the hell out my face. There ain't none of y'all saying nothing about those black girls who got raped and some of their children later on experienced trauma with regards to that.
Jamal, just share with the viewing audience, how can they research some of that information right quick? Can you just tell them what they need to look up? To find some of it?
They can just go and put in concentration camps. Put in concentration camps. And they'll give you a list to show them. And then they'll even go talk about how concentration camps were also in Cuba. And how the United States had concentration camps in the Philippines. But that's another story right there.
No, the reason I say that, because a lot of times, you know what I always say, when we fail for two reasons, lack of information, lack of knowledge. And we hear it, but a lot of times we don't know how to even research it, some of us. And you need to know this information. If you can find it, others should find it and read about it, and it will enlighten them more.
Right, because they can just go on Google and put in concentration camps.
Good.
All put in say concentration camps and that, but they can just put in concentration camps, and then bam, this stuff start coming up.
And it give them some understanding of what you talking about and what's going on, and it'll give them a different view.
And right, so,
and run and go tell that, Bernard say, and that's a fact.
And yeah, that's why. Like I said, I did my video on Sunday, but just I ain't had time to edit to put it out there and tell y'all around here talking about some guy doggone Elizabeth. You even got the Irish who pissed off at her. And then you got individuals right in Britain right now who are saying get rid of the monarchy, saying get rid of it, because again it's been an agent for oppression. But guess
what? Prime Minister,
as y'all call it out, that's their cousins right there. That's their uncles and their aunts for the United States. So the same system is in place right here. The system, you go throughout all of these European nations. It's the same system, and they are opposed to African people. No matter how much Josephine Baker tell you how wonderful France is, but she ain't tell you about no god doggone concentration camps, about the rapes happening to black women. But we celebrate Josephine Baker. I'm just putting it out there. Some of y'all get mad about that. I'm like saying, hey, she's a hero. She wrote some of y'all. But guess what? I go and say she ain't said nothing about the goddamn African women that are being raped and girls being raped. That's the part that hurts me. That black girls are getting raped, and that it was a policy in France that they could do that.
Yeah.
And
it's more than just the guidance. Did
not know that Josephine Baker was a great American entertainer who moved over there.
Yeah.
And like I say, do your research, because that's the key. People can tell you what they want to tell you, but you need to look and do the research to understand. I think that is so important.
Sandra, you got 4 minutes.
Okay. We can talk about this Utah school bus driver threatening to shoot kids and on the bus. Tell us about it.
Oh no, I was raising my hand about William Washington Brown. He was born in Hamersham, Georgia. Look at Jesus.
George Washington Williams.
Lord.
But William Washington Brown is William Washington Brown is another person also. That's the
at least she's engaging. That's important. Although she got a miss, she engaged. Sonia, you was talking and we cut you off. Sonia, go ahead.
I mean, so what I'm saying is, it's more than just the diamonds that they have raped from the African land. It's the people that they have raped and imprisoned and everything. So before y'all shed a tear for the 70-year, queen, do your research before you start watching the damn her funeral on Monday. Don't take off for her funeral, y'all.
They got pictures. They got pictures on the internet with her standing behind, with the slaves standing behind her. I didn't shed tears. We talked about her last Wednesday. She died on Thursday. I mean, but I thought it was a sham anyway. I don't think nobody need to be held in that high esteem. Talking about they no king or no queen or no nothing. Queen Latifah, Queen Aretha Franklin, the King, B.B. King, Michael Jackson.
The new prime minister who just met with her, she was advocating a few years back to do away with the monarch. A lot of people was not aware of that. She was advocating to do away with it. She thought it wasn't necessary anymore.
Yeah, it has no purpose, nothing but historical purposes.
We need to get on this tour. Shantae says she can't wait to come back to Savannah so she could take the tour with Dr. Jamal Torre. But we need to get this tour all together. Y'all need to plan something so we all can get down there and take it and put Bernard on it also. Because Bernard, I know you're gonna cry, but that's okay.
Well, this has been a real good show, you guys. I thank everybody for showing up and giving their input. Love you guys. Anybody got any last words?
Any last words? Anybody, Charlie?
No, I'm okay. Thank you. I'll see you guys next week. Same place, Will. Same time. Share. Please call your friends, neighbors, and let them know about this show. We want to give you great information to help your lives be a better life. That's all I have to say. Good night. Share.
Unjust is next. Unjust is next. Tune in to Unjust, 9:00. Unjust is next. See y'all tomorrow. Ebony Sports Reporters, 8:00 tomorrow. Good night, y'all.
And the Woman King, I do the Woman King tomorrow at AMC Theater. So
Woman King when?
Tomorrow, the Woman King, AMC Theater. We're going to have a discussion about it. So they had a fundraiser for Iota Phi Lambda and also NCNW, National Council of Negro Women. So I'll be the one leading the discussion.
Isn't that like a queen too?
So we can put that out.
Isn't this Woman King like a queen too? I was just curious. I will talk with y'all later. You have a good night, my friend.
She's a military leader.
All right. Good night, y'all.